Good afternoon and welcome to NFTs Live. I'm your host, Tyler D. It is Friday, May 6th, a rainy and gloomy day here in Chicago, which is a great analogy for the crypto and stock markets right now, which are all doom and gloom. Everything's tanking. People are wondering, are NFTs next? I've got Brett Richey on with me today to talk through all of that and recap a crazy week in NFTs. Brett, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm jealous of that weather. I like rainy and gloomy, and I live in Vegas, so we don't get a whole lot of that.
Of course you do. But we've got a great show lined up for today, folks. On the docket for today, we're going to start with Otherdeeds, talk about last weekend's Mint, the fallout this week, and did Yuga kill the market? Then we're going to talk the Beanz reveal, whether or not that was bullish or bearish. Then the Phantom Network and reactions to their roller coaster week of price action here. Then we'll switch into our weekly market movers from taking a look at the Lucky Trader board. Then we'll include the late breaking Doodles announcement and reactions to that. Then we'll check in on Art Blocks and ask, is Art Blocks back from the dead? And then we'll finish the show today talking a few upcoming drops. Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right, let's jump in. First on the docket, we have to talk about Otherdeeds from Yuga Labs. We'll fire up the screen share here. This was the Super Bowl event for NFTs. We talked about it. We broke it down last Friday on the show. Have to say the initial reactions, it was a disappointing drop. So let's first kind of start with what happened. So it was a mint of 55,000 of the NFTs Saturday evening at 9 p.m. 30,000 went to the Bored Apes and Mutants, and then 15,000 held to the side. What ended up happening was a 3-hour long gas war Saturday night. To mint, everyone had to essentially use at least 5,000 or 6,000 Gwei, which is effectively 1 to 1.5 ETH purely in gas. So what amounted to 2.5 ETH NFTs, people ended up having to pay about 3.5, 3.75 on average. And unfortunately, a lot of the rookies or folks who are newer to NFTs weren't efficiently or sufficiently prepared for a drop like that. A lot of them lost money on failed transactions. And ultimately, the drop was also heavily botted from those who bought several KYC accounts. So it was a pretty bearish general reaction Saturday night, but then Sunday, people kind of put all of that aside. Pre-reveal, the floor of the Otherdeeds marched all the way, I want to say, to 7.5, close to 8 ETH or so. Ahead of the reveal Sunday night. Then the reveal happened, and then the floors have essentially been coming down in line with part of that rare lotto. And we've seen some tremendous high-end sales, and we'll cover those. And then this week has been kind of a slow march down. So, Brett, a lot to unpack for this drop. First, what were your reactions? Were you happy with the drop mechanics Saturday night and kind of how that all went down?
No, it was horrible, and Yuga should have known better. I think one aspect is they should have never had two NFTs for wave one. Is like they teased that you could have up to 5 waves in that email. Like that's just clueless. It got sold out in wave one. So I think it should have been 1 NFT max instead of 2. It doesn't really mitigate the gas necessarily, but at the very least, it would have helped some people that got shut out get in. And again, the people that bought it and bought KYC wallets, they're all maxing out everything. They're using flash bots, so they can't even get rugged by the guy. There's people that got hundreds of these. There's one guy that bragged on Twitter that he got I think 300 or something of these. So if you looked at the metrics ahead of the drop, you could see it was oversubscribed just by real wallets that were prepared. When you add in, obviously there were flash, but we knew about people doing it. It wasn't some big secret. Yuga obviously knew. They didn't care, right? They were going to, that's the biggest concern to me, is that Yuga had to have known how this drop was going to go, and they didn't care. So that's the red flag I see. It's not that it was incompetence. They had to have known. Mm-hmm. And so that's even worse to me, is that they didn't care.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And I certainly had bought into that concept of waves. And I inferred from that the drop wasn't oversubscribed.
We thought we might be getting in on the third wave.
Right.
We're getting 10 NFTs each, maybe.
Yeah, clearly it was just hopium in hindsight, but they led us to believe that. And there was absolutely no reason for them to even come out with this wave concept when
But by the
they had
day
the
of, we knew that was
numbers.
out the window. Like by
Right.
the time the drop happened, I was like, it's going to be two. Like we're, with gas.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be two and then a gas war. And it was the wildest gas war we've ever seen. I want to say over 100 million burn in gas. Some
Yeah, it was over 100 million
crazy
burned,
number.
which is just like, I don't want to say incompetence, but they had to have known. And so there's better ways to structure it. Again, I think one max is better than two. You can still do the KYC. You could even do a raffle,
Yeah.
of these KYC wallets, and then you have some window to buy. Like, was it that big of a rush to sell it out? Why don't you have, hey, you're in wave one, you won the raffle, you have a day to buy one, and then whoever doesn't, okay, now there's another raffle, or or something like that. And you could even have it the second round, you could oversubscribe it by a bit, so it's going to be a bit of a gas war, but you would sell out and be done. There's way better ways to structure it than what they did.
I'm with you. So let's talk about price action a little bit. So I mentioned pre-reveal got to about 7.8. You'll see we're showing the activity chart here. The average sale per day is still like 9, 10 on average. That's because of two factors: the rares in the set as well as the codas. So we haven't mentioned codas yet. The one thing Yuga was informative and not transparent, but that they communicated well was about codas. And I want to say it was Sunday they released information about the mega codas, which it was the highest serials. The 9,900 to 10,000 serial codas are considered mega codas. That created a huge top end market for the codas. I think those are going for anywhere 100 to 200 ETH plus. The coda floor on Sunday was around 28, and liquid, it's since dropped a bit. It's closer to 20, 22 now at the time of our show. But that definitely made for a really nice rare lotto. And anyone who minted and got a coda was ecstatic with the mint. And then anyone who didn't, less so. I think maybe the group that got burned the most is people who bought the BAYC or MAYC tier land. So
yeah, they did.
BAYC tier land was 35 ETH in liquid on secondary pre-reveal, and the MAYC was like 15 ETH in liquid. And then this kind of goes into my next question, but Yuga hasn't said anything about how the different tiers of land, the sediment, how that matters, how the artifacts or resources matter. And all those floors have collapsed without any additional information. I want to say the BAYC is like 10 ETH and the MAYC is basically fallen to the floor. So do you think Yuga should have announced something? Or are you surprised by how little they've said this week?
The comms have never been their strength, right? They like to be mysterious. And when you reach that sort of blue chip status, you can get away with a lot of that. And so, to their detriment, sometimes they're very limited with their communication. But realistically, I don't think they know. I think they just winged it. Like, let's do this sale, promise of some game. Like they're not even like a technical team, right? They're outsourcing development to Animoca, maybe some other companies also. But the real truth is, I don't think they know. I don't think they have the game mechanics built. Like, I think it's like, let's sell the land and figure it out. And like, I don't think they secretly have this great plan of the game and it's all mapped out and like, here's what the land's going to do. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, you can adapt, you can sort of, like a lot of things change in the space. You don't need to be like married to a plan. So I'm not even saying it's a bad thing that they haven't announced it, but I don't think they're sitting on it. I don't think they know.
Which is probably a bad sign for at least for near-term price action.
You look at what Animoca's built. Like, if you can find one game that you want to play in their entire library of games, you found one more than me.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of the bear case for this is, what kind of a fun or successful game are people going to have to pay 10,000 to enter? So there's a lot of questions on, what's the free component versus, what are the landowners or deed owners? What's going to be their role in this? And it just boils down to a lot of unknowns. And with 100,000 supply, with a potential bear market in front of us, it's kind of hard to see the bull case in the near term for what's going to drive buyers to this set. But we have to say there are some bulls out there. 2 days ago, someone unloaded about 1,000 ETH across some of the rarest plots of land. The plots, I want to say it was the plots closer to like the founders circle on
the serial number
map.
0 to 100 or something are on this island right by the center founders plot. And those actually were correlated to the Bored Ape serial number. I thought it'd be randomized, but like if you had Bored Ape number 5, you got the plot like right next to the founder. Now the traits were still random. So you could have like a floor land, but the location theoretically would make it more valuable. But again, I'm pretty bearish that like this thing is going to get developed and be fun to play anytime soon.
Yeah, tend to agree. So let's talk about the overall impact to the market. So we're going to show quickly the Dune Analytics dashboard. You see here Sunday, the day after the Otherdeeds. So we haven't talked about how much ETH they've traded. They've traded 230,000 ETH here in less than a week, which is just an absurd number. I think they're 7th all time. They've passed Azuki's now in just a week in their lifetime revenue, which is absurd. It was a blow-off day and blow-off weekend for the NFT market. We are absolutely going to finish out here the biggest single week in NFT revenue history. And May, if we don't go straight to a terrible bear market, May is on pace to being the highest performing revenue month in NFT history as well.
And this week also is with essentially disaster in the traditional markets, and then crypto kind of caught some tailwinds of that also. So I think had like the markets been reversed and like S&P was pumping, this could have been just like the crazy, like glorious days. You wake up, everything's up 20%. Those times are very fun when they happen. So I think this volume is really good considering the bloodbath all around us.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is the NFT market is so new. No one knows, how NFTs are going to react to a crypto bear market. If the NFTs are going to drop, if liquidity is just going to go to zero. Certainly, we've seen some overreactions like Keyboard Monkey and some of his crazy trades in the last few days. I think I can lay out a bear case and a bull case. I'm curious for your thoughts. So, bear case is Yuga Labs Otherdeeds was kind of a disaster. It didn't attract the new money from like on the lower end rookie buyer scale that we thought it would.
Yeah, they
probably got burned. Anyone who minted was profitable right away, but anyone who's bought on secondary pre-reveal is likely down. And anyone who's bought on secondary in the past week is likely down as well. And of course, it was a huge primary raise. So there's some money out of the ecosystem. And with general sentiment, that kind of takes us down. A lot of the blue chip projects have kind of had their recent announcements, so there's not a ton in the near term to look forward to. The bull case that I see is, we just had Moonbirds smash the single day record at 50,000 ETH 3 weeks ago, traded in one day. And then 2 weeks after that, Otherdeeds came in and totally smashed that record. So clearly there's a lot of new money in the space. Clearly there's a lot of money on the sidelines ready to react. We're going to talk about Phantom Network here in a minute. Phantom Network is a new project. It traded 17,000 ETH in a day and a half. These are numbers that we were never even close to even a few months ago.
Yeah.
So that's my bull case, is that there's still a lot of money. There's a lot of interest. I think there's a lot of fun still getting into the space here. I'm curious, do you lean a certain way here, at least near term or long term on the NFT?
I don't think Other Side really took that much like out of the ecosystem, because I do think, as you said, there's a lot of outside money. I think a lot of the secondary buys, a lot of this is outside money that was sitting there. We saw with Moonbirds. And then if you even look at the sort of blue chips, right, with all of this money going into the Yuga land sale, they held up like quite well, I would say, in the face of this like massive liquidity suck. So I think there's a lot of money on the sidelines coming in, as you see with the Phantom. Like NFTs are getting bigger, right? You have funds being raised, and so people need to deploy them within a certain time period when you raise a fund. I have no idea like this total size of the funds raised. Like that's a bit murky, but like it's more than it was a month ago. It's more than it was 6 months ago, right? There's more money like that coming into the space. And then again, you have more, I guess like normies are like, you're on the sidelines long enough, and then eventually, more people start trickling in. So I think in general, obviously there's more money, there's more interest coming into NFTs. there's also more supply. Like there's new stuff coming out. So that doesn't mean that like our bags from 2021 are going to like finally have their glorious day now that these new people are here. They don't care, right? They're going to look at the new shiny thing for the most part. So it's still like a very tricky game to trade, but overall, yeah, it's the volume and new entrants are up.
Yep.
And will continue to be for the foreseeable future, I think.
And that's a big reason why I'm still a big NFT bull. All right, let's switch to our next topic, Beanz. So one of the most anticipated reveals in the past month, the new sidekick to the Azuki collection. We finally got a glimpse of these yesterday. They passed the cute test. They did the team did some pretty innovative concepts with this. Let me pull up the thread and maybe see if we can walk through this. So yesterday, noon Pacific, we got the Beanz are here thread with a glimpse of them, the different types. So I think there's like a dozen different kinds of Beanz, the set characters. And then there's 3 things that you can do with them. So one, you can pair it with an Azuki if you own one. It'll actually change the image of your NFT. It'll go on the shoulder. Then they announced this selfie mode on their website where you get a zoomed in view of the bean itself. And then of course you have just the image itself. So 3 views. So I thought that was fairly innovative. The initial price action was, I think, to be expected. So the floor is around 6. This market prices in the rare lotto very efficiently, in my opinion. And we've seen some top end sales. We saw a 90 sale, 70, 80 sale, but then the floors have since dropped to closer to 4. So I'm curious for your initial reactions, takeaways from the Beanz reveal yesterday.
I think it was fine. I think it was probably what people expected. They really don't do it for me. Like I get it's a play on Azuki or whatever. But 4 ETH for this is like, there's so many other things I would buy before this. I just don't get it. I'm boomer. I don't know. This is not for me. And then again, Azuki at that price is not for me. I know like it's a great team or whatever, but there's other projects at that price point, at both price points I would like. But I do like the Azukis a lot better than this. I don't think this is that great, to be honest.
So that's fair.
Just for me though, like I get the more, like I'm not saying the market's wrong. That's only my personal opinion.
Right. No, and I totally get that. And of course, take everything I say with a grain of salt because I'm a decent Azuki bag holder and Beanz holder here. I think one of the more exciting parts of this announcement was kind of buried here in the 5th or 6th tweet in the thread. So they just announced, they just welcomed Rahito Harayama as an advisor to their team. He was former CEO of Sanrio. He helped build global brands like Hello Kitty, which is just a huge name in the space. They kind of gave us a glimpse in the soft reveal of kind of where they were going with this Beanz concept and like the emojis and the stickers. And then I think this selfies concept is really showing that direction in the viewpoint here and their vision. And I mean, it has Hello Kitty vibes all over it. And that clearly had a huge market. I don't know whether or not the Hello Kitty market translates to NFT market success or not. But I definitely understand the vision. I think this was certainly a pretty big name hire, and it was fairly kind of buried in
he's an advisor. News. I mean, I think it could be
hire,
cool.
Yeah, it's an advisor.
It's like the range of outcomes there is wide. I think the best thing it shows to me, right, is that the team cares, right? They're deploying the capital they've raised. I'm not saying they're necessarily paying this guy, but however their deal is, like they're willing to like use their treasury to expand the project, right? The awareness. Like we've seen some other projects where they kind of raised the cash, especially like Azuki, they made a lot of money quick. Suddenly you don't care as much. So I think that's like really bullish for the teams like this that reach that level of like, wow, we basically are like set for life as founders from this. We just, made 8 figures probably each in like a short period of time. And we're still going to keep pushing this thing forward. So that is a good sign to me. And like the LA culture, like that obviously is where NFTs have really resonated lately. Mm-hmm. that kind of environment. So I think people with experience in that space can help the project keep going. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious what this means for Azuki's, right? So Azuki's ahead of the reveal this week had actually marched over 30. They're sitting around 31 in the wake of Otherdeeds. I think we saw some rotation from the Coda sellers into some of the other blue chips. And then I think the crypto market crash here in the last 2 days has kind of drug down the blue chip index in general. So Azuki's are sitting at 25.5. I think the bull case is if you really liked what Beanz was, it reflects on the Azuki team. But a potentially short-term bear case is, okay, they just had a big drop. They're probably not going to have another announcement here for the next month or two. So does that mean the price is just going to chop or go slowly down in this attention and announcement-driven market? So do you subscribe to one of those opinions?
I mean, it depends, right? It like Bored Apes, you would thought you took the dog out of the Bored Ape, they kept running. You took the mutant out of the Bored Ape, they kept running. You took the ape coin out of the Bored Ape, they kept running. So I think the story is yet to be written on what it means. Like for people that do believe like Azuki could be the next Bored Ape, could potentially flip them or something. This is a good entry point. Like 4 for the Beanz, right? The mutants were 3 or 4 for a while. 3, 4, 5 for a month or something, right? And then they ran to 25, and you got I don't know how much ape coin. I think like 40K worth, 30K, like a good amount. And then they hit 32 or something even after that. So I think like the playbook is there. It's just how high are they going to rise? I don't know, but I do think Bored Apes will get toppled at some point. Same as Punks did, same as whoever topples them probably gets toppled too. I don't know whether it's Azuki or not, but if you think they have that upside, I mean, that's still quite a bit of room to run.
Yeah, definitely agree. Overall, my closing thoughts on this one, I like the Beanz. I thought that it was innovative how they had the 3 different views, and I think overall this will be a net win for the team, but hard to predict the near-term price action in this market. All right, let's go to our third top agenda item here with the FAM network. PXN Ghost Division is sitting here about a day and a half since its public sale. Is holding a 3.5 ETH floor. I think the bigger number here, and I alluded to this earlier, 17,000 ETH traded here. We talked about this. We highlighted this as an upcoming drop last Friday. This is a product kind of resonated or stemmed from the Nano Pass community. So this is a PFP project, 10,000 supply. They've got a big vision roadmap. Components of that include this kind of Web3 version of eBay. They've got tokenomics and a token that they're planning to roll out, as well as a good amount more with this whole Ghost program. So it was a pretty heavily anticipated mint. They did this new style, which is run the public Dutch auction first, and then your whitelist sale second. So they did 40% of the supply at a 2 ETH Dutch auction on Thursday night, and it sold out on the gun. The floor ripped from 2 to 4 and then crashed back below 2, essentially overnight in the first 12 hours of trading. And then we had the whitelist sale last night. Floor dipped to 1.8 and then ran to 3.6. So this is one you've been watching. I'm curious for your reactions to the price action. Are you staying in this one for reveal? Just kind of general sentiments on the project.
Yeah, so I bought one of these. I wasn't that interested, I think, but I went to mint. I didn't get to mint, and then it started running that night, right? And I was like, I actually went to buy at 3, and I clicked from the official feed, and I ended up on a scam NFT, and that just kind of like scared me off. I was that scam collection raised over 200 ETH. It somehow snuck in that official feed, and so I was like, I'm going to deal with it in the morning because like it's just really tilting if you buy a 3 ETH scam is like that's going to put you in a bad mood for a while. And then it ran to like 4.5, and I was like, well, it just got away from me, and then it came way down the next day. So I bought one at like 2.35, and then I was going to buy 1 or 2 more, and I just whatever. I didn't do it, and then it ran back up, and I think that I'm going to hold. I just have one. I have an interesting serial number, 99. So it's like, I don't know if that is a thing or if it matters, but like, I think I'd rather hold that through reveal because it may carry some extra value than just a random serial. Probably doesn't matter, but it might.
Yeah, no, I think in general, holding through reveal makes a lot of sense with the rare lottos that are on the table in this market. And clearly there are plenty of people who are ready to pay 50, 70, 100 ETH for the top end and big name sets. Clearly the hype is here. 17,000 ETH traded in less than 2 days. So I'm pretty confident there will be a nice rare lotto on this set. Of course, the risk there is if you get floors, you're probably going to lose 1 or 2 ETH right off the gun there if you can't exit fast enough. But I'm kind of curious your reactions of this new Dutch auction style where we do the public sale first and the whitelist second. Another product that we're going to highlight later on, the Mind Blowns, did something similar. And I'm curious if they're all going to play out with this price arc where we see a temporary spike for those who didn't get into the Dutch auction, and then it just tumbles until the rest of the supply comes out. Because in this case, it was 40% was in the public sale and then 60% whitelist. So do you think this is a good style, bad style, or just a new one that we need to react to?
I didn't mind the style. And by the way, on their Dutch auction, they gated it, right? They did a raffle to get in the Dutch auction to prevent gas. So I thought that was interesting. But with this style, my friend bought one of these. He didn't know that there was another 6,000 coming. He just saw the volume, right? And it's like, well, this, like, you just see it trending everywhere and you just click buy. But he didn't realize that, 6,000 more were coming out at 1.35 or so average entry, I think. So I don't know. I was fine with it. I mean, we had all the info and it's up to us if we want to, click buy or not.
Yeah. And I do want to shout out there. I actually loved how they did the public sale. They basically prevented a gas war. I forgot about that part. So they basically did a raffle / queue system live without telling anyone. So you had to get through the raffle, but if you did, you were able to mint for 2 ETH with minimal gas. So actually, I thought that was great. But
I think you could do 2. I don't like when they let
you. Said it
would let you do 1. The hype project, stop letting people mint 2. Do 1 only. It's better for everybody.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But I think that the impact of the style is the market is going to dip before the huge chunk of the second supply comes out. So just be aware of that. I think it'll be very surprising for anything to go up only from the low supply to full supply. So just pay attention.
That volume, it kind of felt like it was up only, right? It hit 4.4 ETH.
I chased
insane volume. Yeah, you bought the top almost. Yeah. Not to rub it in. I think you're going to be fine. I think you're going to be fine the way this is playing out. And then it hit like 1.8, bounced back, and then now it's back to 3.5.
Yeah, if you're listening, so I love this product. I thought it was a great play at 2. I got caught up in the initial buy action, and I was just chasing. I paid like 3.5 average for these. If I just would have went to bed and woken up, I could have bought these for 2 and bought more. So stay disciplined in your investing styles. Lesson learned here. All right, let's move into our segments. Let's just take a quick look at the weekly board here from our friends at Lucky Trader. We've talked about several of these already. Just a monster number up top with the Otherdeeds, 230,000 ETH in less than a week. This product came out Saturday night, so it's only been 5.5 days. So just absurdity. In the wake, the Bored Apes and Mutants have traded 65,000. We didn't even talk about Elon. Elon changed his PFP briefly to a collage of Bored Apes, the Sotheby's lot. For 2 hours, it sent the Bored Ape community into a tizzy. The floor ripped back to like 120, 125 before it became ultimately revealed to be a troll job. We can keep that topic we can probably talk about Elon and NFTs for a while. It remains to be seen if he's actually going to get in. If he does, it could be a blow off for our market. But we'll take that back. But the Bored Apes sit at 106 right now, down 30% from their highs. Maybe even more. Those were at 158. And then the Mutants are at 23, down from 40, 41. So essentially the land has come out and they've dipped even more. things don't look great. Do you think these are a buy at these sale prices here at 106.23 for those who are in the market, or do you think they dip lower?
I wouldn't buy it. I mean, like a lot of the land came out, the ape came out, the mutant came out, the dog came out. I think it's going to be a kind of a quiet time. And now Bored Ape, they've really they were great at marketing and shipping JPEGs, right? Building a metaverse in a game, like that's a whole different, like I guess problem to have or whatever. And that is a problem to have, I think. I don't, I think it's gonna be a quiet summer for them, right? They're just gonna be building and so I would rather split that 100 ETH. I'd rather get 33 of those Phantom things. I'd rather get 5 Doodles. I'd rather get 6 CloneX. Like there's a bunch of plays I'd rather make with 20 invisible friends, like almost most other things I'd rather buy than that ape. It's just so expensive. And I don't see any kind of catalyst over this summer that's gonna really reward that holding that ape.
The counter from the Bored Ape community would be their roadmap 2.0, which I don't think the game was necessarily even a part of, or the other side. So there's still a lot they could work on, but in general, I'm kind of with you.
Well, Land 2 is I believe next on the roadmap, the second land drop, and that was in August, I think, in the leaked deck, but the first drop was March, I think. So you could look at that to maybe September. Then you have Mecha Ape coming along with the Mecha Dogs. That might be October, November. That's just a long time to wait. Like I don't know. I mean, yeah. I wouldn't short it. I sure as hell wouldn't short. I wouldn't bet against them, but I think for me, it's just kind of a stay away and put the ETH to better use elsewhere.
No one's made money shorting the Bored Apes. That is a fact. Beanz we touched on. So Doodles, let's touch on this. Doodles made a big announcement here just an hour ago or so. So they are welcoming a new CEO, Julian Holgan. I have not had a chance to learn much about his background yet, but they brought him in to work with their other founders. And then basically the announcement of an announcement, part 2. In the coming weeks, we will introduce you to the next phase of Doodles, groundbreaking projects, transformative partnerships, and a full reveal of our vision and roadmap. And oh yeah, next Thursday, a mysterious device will drop into the Doodles universe. So they're hinting at an airdrop. The market liked this announcement. I want to say the floor was around 21.5. It ran to 24.5. It looks like it's actually since come back down to the high 22s. But I'm curious for your off-the-cuff reactions to what we got from the Doodles team here today.
I consider this kind of kicking the can down the road. I don't think it moves the needle. Like I think whatever your theory on Doodles is probably still about the same. This guy Julian was the president of Billboard for the last year, a little over a year, which to me kind of whatever. I mean, I'm not, oh my God, Billboard, but it's like, that's also, that's not nothing. So I think that I don't know who the CEO was. It might've been Poopy who started it. I don't know who it was, but I feel that's probably good to some extent. And then the people who were expecting the announcement today though. So then you also hit him with the announcement of an announcement still. So it kind of seems reasonable that it's still flat, up small. I think we'll see. May 12th is going to be a much bigger day, a much bigger test for the Doodles. So kind of neutral for me.
I think the market is priced in a dilutive airdrop at this point. So the Doodles floor was about 16-17 before they got wind of this announcement. It's since up 5 to 6 ETH or so. So I think the market has priced the Doodles airdrop right in that 5 to 6 range, which is right with where Beanz essentially was trading pre-reveal. So, if you're buying on hopes of the airdrop, just know that it's probably already priced in. But who knows, if it's a smashing success, it could still be a good buy. Let's go back to the board. Next on the list, ENS Mania continues. 10,000 ETH traded in the Ethereum name service in the past 7 days. 30,000 sales. They got their 1 millionth ENS name minted this week. So that ecosystem has just been a nonstop party. let's take a look at a few of the premier floors. So this 10K club has spun up around the 3-digit and 4-digit ENS names. We see their floors 15 ETH to buy a 3-digit. So this is like 123.eth, trading at 15 ETH, almost $50,000. The 4 digits, 1234.eth, 1.6 ETH floor. And then the 5 digits, your zip codes just minted out. I want to say yesterday, and now are starting to creep up. They're holding a 0.02 floor. That is 100,000 NFT set. So we'll be very curious, how high that one could potentially go. Have you been following this? Reactions? Is this pure mania? Are these still decent entries for these? What's your take?
My take is that some of them make a lot of sense, right? 212.eth, New York City area code, 305, Miami, Bored Apes, that, that makes a lot of sense. 8888, okay, but like a random 4836, I think it's kind of influencers bought. I mean, that is what happened. Influencers bought it and created the narrative and chilled it, and it sort of mooned. Historically, those kind of, I would say, vaporware pumps typically crash after. I just don't see the value. Oh, it's your serial number for your punk. Well, why wouldn't you get punk 4826.eth? I don't think that really is some sort of bottleneck where people just want that number to go with their serial, unless one guy like really collects the same serial across all sets or something. Yeah, I think it was a smart trade. I saw it, like I didn't act on it. I honestly didn't see this happening. But when the 4 digits were still 0.25, I knew that ENS was blowing up. So it's just a missed opportunity, but I would never hop on here.
Yeah, fair. I mean, it definitely feels a bit like mania right now, a bit like the wild art blocks run that came out of nowhere. That being said, I still love ENS. There's true utility in ENS names. So if it's something that you're new to, definitely go explore it, get a name you like, pay a normal price for it. They're definitely useful. All right, let's get into our next segment. Let's just quickly look at the floors. And I want to use this board. We talked to the PFPs. Let's talk about art blocks for a bit here. So art might be back. Autoglyphs, top of the board. Autoglyphs are back to a 189 floor. They're in the green on the month. We've got Fidenz's top art block project. It's back to 69, up 50% on the 30-day. Those were down to like 35, 40 ETH prints. We see the 30-day floor at 46 here. It's since been bought back up pretty quickly. What's next? We got Ringers. So the Ringers are still 35. They're down 17% on the month. Let's do a few more. Elevate Deconstructions are at 21, down 24%. Archetypes 13.5 are up 46%, and then the Subscapes are up 27% to 7. So nowhere near peak prices, but we're seeing some green back on the board. I guess, what are your thoughts, reactions to why this might be happening? Is this a single pump? Is this a rotation of value? Or does this kind of just make sense for where we're at in the market?
I saw an interesting theory that with the other side land drop, Bored Apes now have more supply than art blocks. Which is like, because everyone was like, art blocks has too much supply. That's an interesting way to look at it. I actually sold an art blocks factory for 0.4 yesterday, which the last sale in that collection was like 3 months ago. So that's, I'll take it. It's not a Fidenza, but like, I think that, the rumors of art blocks demise are like, again, the supply isn't that crazy. If you look at, Bored Apes, for example, or some other like ecosystem, like PFPs as a whole, things like that. And then obviously, if you look within art blocks concentrated within certain sets, I don't know how many Fidenzas there are. I think it's 1,000. It's not more than that. So that's still a pretty small set. And I think the problem was generative art, the mania, the bubble just got so crazy. And then the supply is basically infinite, not just within art blocks. And then the tools to create it are getting better. And so people got burned so badly. It's almost like the crash might have been too severe.
Too far.
Like at some point, it's like, we get it. It was wildly overvalued. But at some point, like the pendulum swung too far to undervalued, at least in some of the sets.
No, I like that theory a lot. And now we're getting to the point where the market is going to be removed enough from that fallout, right? So it peaked in August, September started going down, then like October, November were the bad months. And then it's just kind of been slow, low liquidity. To me, I think it's two things. I think the high end art blocks are always going to be there. Beanz is going to be a great buy. It's going to be a coveted set. For those who are long term NFT buyers, it's likely a safer play than chasing some of these PFPs. Now, of course, there's going to be some opportunity costs to that buy in the near term. And I think the other piece is whenever you pump this much liquidity into the market, there's always going to be a percent who were trading these ultimately with the idea to rotate back to art blocks and other art projects. So when enough people bank 100 ETH and 200 ETH CODA sales, a few of those people are bound to buy art blocks, right? And we've seen dozens of sales that high. So I think that's kind of a combination of what's happening. And those floors are thin. It wasn't like a flood of buys that moved the Beanz floor. It was like 7 buys. So it just kind of goes to speak to how these sets work right now. So we'll keep our eyes on it, but certainly there's a shot that, we've kind of seen the bottom for these top end sets, and maybe we're going to start turning up.
Even the last curated drop, right? I don't know what it's at now, but I think it minted out at 1 and it was at 2.75 pretty quick. Oh, wow. That was like, those were the kind of flips that were essentially automatic last August that we haven't seen a lot of lately.
It's time to start paying attention to the curated drops again. And I'm one who admittedly kind of fell off my radar after being, a focus every week. I just, similar to Top Shot, I was like, I'm just completely done with this. But just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. So I actually have, I'm going to go bid on there's some art blocks that I wanted back in the day. I'm going to go bid on now, see if I can sneak a cheap bid through. Nice. I like that. All right. So last segment of the show, let's talk about some upcoming drops. So there's a few on my radar here. In general, if you think we're going to a bear market, I think a good strategy is to try to grind to get on whitelists, to find good products with cheaper entries, to try to get in, make smaller bets on these plays, play it fairly tightly. And there's a few that appear to be some decent shots. So the first is this Mind Blown Universe NFT product. They actually did their first public sale for about 20% of the supply here this morning. They caught my attention. 300,000 followers on Twitter, always huge, but we've seen that before. The artist, this Tahila Lots, has got almost 1 million followers. So this is big in Indonesia and that community. They had their 0.69 Dutch auction this morning, sold out immediately. Floor immediately ran to 2 ETH, and I want to say it's back down closer to 1 now. I think there's a good chance this follows the same price arc that PXN did, where we see the initial spike, it comes down ahead of the whitelist supply. And then if the demand is truly there, once the whitelist supply is out, we'll see the price go back up. I think there's a lot of attention on this one. There's not a whole lot of new mints kind of coming out. There's still a lot of liquidity in this market. So I think the time is still right and good for some new products to launch. So I think this is one to pay attention to. Was this on your radar? Any thoughts, reactions to Mind Blowing? Or are you going to pay attention to the whitelist sale?
I don't think so. I didn't hear of it till this morning. It's 1.13 now. I don't particularly feel a need to hop in this.
Yeah, that's fair. And it's not a cheaper entry anymore. So if you're getting into secondary at 1 ETH, right, that's definitely a riskier play. This next one, so BBRC, this is another one that just got on my radar here this morning. I want to say the sale is next Monday. They just closed their pre-mint raffle. I think it's going to be 0.12 or 0.15 to mint. So 0.12. Okay, 0.12 to mint. So fairly on the low end. It's got that art, culture, fashion narrative behind it. Again, 260,000 followers.
I don't buy, but like a lot of that's bullshit. So I typically throw that out personally.
Yeah, it does feel like every product that mints now has 200,000.
They have more than Cool Cats. Like I'm not buying it at all.
So that's certainly something to be aware of. Maybe run the follower audits and whatnot.
It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I wouldn't be like, oh, wow, this has so many followers. Like it's a slam dunk. You can find a lot of projects that did Instagram ads or whatever too, that are 0.01 floor that have, 300,000 followers on Twitter too.
So we're scrolling down to give folks a sense of the images and the artwork. They don't have a website yet. I don't know a ton about the product. Certainly I'll be looking into it a bit this weekend. But this is one to watch if you're a mentor or a fast follower on secondary. Pay attention to this one on Monday.
What's good too about this 0.12 price, like I did the raffle, so I hope I get that. I don't think you can lose a whole lot buying it. Like I'll gamble there if I get dusted, whatever. Sure. And then it also makes the secondary entry can be appealing because when buyers are at 0.12, a lot of them, they might flip for 0.2, 0.3, 0.35. So if you do think it has legs, I'm with you. I haven't really looked at it. You can also get in a cheap secondary entry, even if you're giving that the minter 2 or 3x. You're still like there's still a lot of room to run.
Still
there.
Upside. Yeah, definitely with you. And honestly, I was looking out at the schedule for the next week or two. There's not really a ton else, so there's going to be some room to run. I think the other big events to watch are going to be these reveals. So Ragnarok is going to have their reveal sometime. I don't know if it's been formally announced. I would expect it to maybe be in the next week. They just changed their metadata, so now you can see a new image here of this person looking up. They've held a 2.7 floor pre-reveal, 13,000 ETH.
This is ridiculous to me. A 2 week for reveal, like once it's sold out, it should be like 1 or 2 days max to reveal. I don't care what the project is. Like, I don't like that at all. It's not just Ragnarok, just in general. That's a common thing. I don't know if it's the art's not ready, if it's better for their secondary volume to like leave it pre-revealed. But once it's out, once the NFTs are sold, I think, in my opinion, you have 2 days max to do the reveal. Period.
I didn't hate how Otherdeeds did it with a little bit less. Well, that was like 20 hours or so.
Yeah,
to allow people
let's see what I got, man. I just gave you guys 10K. Yeah. what I get.
And then the other one is going to be PXN. So we talked, a lot about that, but that'll be certainly a highly anticipated one.
So that mints out tonight. So I'm hoping it's over the weekend. I'm not expecting it. I feel a lot of these projects do this week-long nonsense. So I won't sell mine. I don't think I'm going to hold till reveal, but it should be over the weekend. Like you sold out. Let's go. Yeah,
I'm with you. And then the other one is NanoPass is launching their avatars and the extension of their community. They kind of have adjusted their plans because PXN has a lot of overlap with their community. So I actually don't know if NanoPass is coming out next week. That would be the other big one on my radar. So we'll look to cover up and follow up on these here next week. Brett, that's all that's on my list. Anything else you want to cover?
Nope. We got it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time this morning, for joining us. Also to our listeners and viewers, as always, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next Friday to recap the week in NFTs. Till then, stay safe out there. Bye.